has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. It's pain-free Friday. Ferrall's rolling out minutes on the mahogany, waxing it up. 100, 200, the bad seed, the burgundy, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City. The Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up should be. Along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the founder of the ILC podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, and the Put It With the Golf Guru. It's Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia running it with Luke. I am your father. He's going to see the Johnnies tomorrow, Carver High, at the Garden against Mafia's Hall, the Jesuits. The rundown on a Friday, double shot with Morency from British Columbia in this very hour. In the second hour, Marty Corwin, a longtime boxing producer, author, and businessman who has worked with Bob Arum and Don King. What could be worse? But a legend in the business. And then in the final hour, Bob Kessling, our good friend, the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, young Chopicus applying to Tennessee for college. Unbelievable development there, Carver High. Plus, in the final hour, my friend Trick Trick, a rapper, hip-hop artist, producer, and actor from Detroit Rock City, has a new movie out, and he's done a lot of music and a ton of stuff with our boy Eminem. So we'll have all of that today on Coast to Coast. Very exciting. I'm watching the Cognizant. I'm cognizant of watching the Cognizant at the PGA National down in Jupiter. And I just saw the co-leader butcher the 11th hole down by the water. Another guy thinking he can stick his foot in the water where the alligators are swimming around, and he chunked a floppy disk wedge in the mud, and it went nowhere, and he bogeyed the hole and lost the tie with Knapp atop the leaderboard, Mike.
Yeah, happy Friday here on Coast to Coast as we get ready. And yes, I, of course, have been locked in with the Cognizant all day. As Jake Afternoon Knapp, of course, had that 12 under 59 yesterday. He's only even par through 10 holes today. In fact, he birdied the first hole and got to 13, and then he gave it back a few holes later. So I would be just fine if he stayed right there the rest of the day. Berger just bogeyed on 11, so he's one back. Matthew Pavon is at 10 under now. He was like 400 to 1 this week. Russell, don't call me Don Henley. Bermuda Ben Griffin, both at 9 under. And then how about all these guys at 8, Scotty? These are the guys we got to watch for the rest of this afternoon. Are any of them going to get themselves a little bit closer to the top? That's going to be Spieth, Fowler, Zach Johnson, all those guys at 8 under and still on the course.
Montgomery just nailed a roller, a sidewinder. It bent twice. It curved left. It curved right from 40 feet. Boom. Here we go again with more people messing with alligators. Never mess with an alligator. These Mafia, get out the book of things not to do. Mess with an alligator. We do not mess with alligators on Coast to Coast.
Billy Ho with a birdie just now to get to 7 under 2. So we have a lot of guys at 7 and 8. If they could just finish off today and get themselves to 10 or 11, they'll have a shot going into the weekend.
Is Billy Ho was he a Gator? Was he a Florida Gator? I think he was. So he was the guy messing with the alligators, and then he did the, the whole chomp like thing to the crowd. And listen, how about this guy? Your boy Berger's down. He's down by that water. He's got his foot in the water, and it's a eerie, dark, brown swamp with seaweed and everything else. I just am not putting my foot there. And I actually would pay money. I really would. I'd give you a nickel if I could actually see an alligator come out of the water and snap the guy's leg off. As you know, I'm not a nice person, so I would pay to see that. You go down there all brave and come out with one leg.
I saw 2 or 3 guys this morning watching the morning coverage do the same thing. They had like one half of their full leg in the water along the side, including Eckler, who won last year, and he's going home. He ain't making a cut. And he had his feet, all his shoes off, his socks off, and he's down there in the water.
What are you doing?
Stay away from the Gators down there, but he's going home anyway, so he's got big kinds of trouble. So we'll be on the
all over the course, Mike. They're in every single lake. They are everywhere. There's hundreds of them. What are you doing? Like, you got it. Like I just said to Mafia, if my ball was down there in that right on the cusp of going into the water and it was still in the grass, I am cheating. I am dropping the ball, and I'm telling my friends, roll one up. Because I'm not taking a stroke. I'm not hitting that ball. I'm hitting this ball clean at the top of the hill, and I am not going near alligators. What are you doing?
Can't have it. Can't be near the Gators. I agree with you 100%.
Gator season on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, we'll be watching. It is the Florida swing. We'll be watching the caucus in here as we get closer to the end of the day of round number 2. Matthew Stafford will return to the Rams. So after a full week of skiing with Tom Brady in Montana and the Giants offering him big money, fights with media guys. After all that, Sean McVay got what he wanted. You heard him the other day say, I want Stafford back, rework the deal, restructured, gets his money, gets a couple years, and he stays in Los Angeles.
Mike, remember, because I think people fail to realize – he got him to the 20-yard line in Philly and a chance to win the game and failed. Took his swings and failed. But he got him down the field to the 20. He was on the 20 of the Eagles to the end of the game to win, and it didn't happen. They realize, I believe fully, they realize that he is still he really is a great quarterback in today's NFL. And he got him down there, and it didn't happen. But he was the closest thing to beating the Philadelphia Eagles this year in January of anyone. And then in February, they kicked the Chiefs' ass in the Super Bowl. So the Eagles were bound to get a ring, and the only team that got in their way at all whatsoever was the Rams with Stafford. So they realized they're closer to winning a Super Bowl with him than without. And they gave him a new deal and restructured the money.
Nobody was closer this year, you're right, in the playoffs to knocking off the Eagles than Stafford was, so he'll be back there. So that we'll talk about some of these other scenarios later. That means now all these teams that were chasing him, Raiders, Giants, etc., are now looking in other places, including for the Giants, maybe even Aaron Rodgers. I said his name really fast, so really quiet. So Aaron Rodgers.
That would be fantastic if they signed Aaron Rodgers. That would be fantastic. It would just be perfect for us.
It would be fantastic for us. I hope it happens. It would be great. So we'll discuss later on. We've got NBA from last night. That will do. Your boy Curry with 56 last night. He hit 12 threes. I mean, honestly.
What is the deal with this guy, Mike? On February 27th, he's done it 3 times.
Saw that. He's had huge games. One was at the Garden, right? Like 12 years ago. He's had enormous games on February 27th.
What is with that date?
Lakers beat the Wolves. Ant was ejected. We'll talk about that. The Suns have all kinds of problems. The Pistons and the Nuggets tonight in Detroit. You've got Cavs Celtics tonight, the 2 best teams in the East. Huge college rack weekend. We'll go through all the games. Sanders and Ward talked this morning at the Combine, so we've got lots to do today.
We did it again last night in college basketball, and we're going to do it tonight and all weekend long. And the Gauchos.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern on all of our TV and radio outlets with the great Morency. And we're blessed here on Coast to Coast to have that kind of relationship with Gabe, a friendship that lasts 3 decades, that we can get him on out of bed every day in Vancouver to spend a double shot with us. And he's wearing Tennessee colors today. I just said that my daughter is applying to Tennessee. If she ends up in Knoxville, I think it'd just be incredible because it's such a party school. I've been there, and I have said on a number of occasions that I believe that they have the hottest chicks in the SEC when it comes down to it on a football Saturday. When they show that crowd, it is tremendous. But, Gabe, I have to ask you, with the quarterback situation today, with Stafford going back to the Rams, and he was the closest thing to beating the Eagles, certainly not the Chiefs. It was him. It was Stafford at the 20-yard line of Philadelphia in the freezing cold that day. In the link, they brought him back realizing that he was the one that got him where they were, and he's the guy that can get them where they want to be, and they have a really good team. What did you think of that fallout? And for the Raiders, the Giants, the league, the Steelers are not doing a deal with Matt Stafford. I never felt that was going to happen for 1 minute. I still think it's Fields. What do you think the fallout is from all of it?
You know what you just brought up? We'll start off with your Pittsburgh Steelers quickly, Scott. Would there have been a quarterback who would have been a better fit than Matt Stafford if Matt Stafford literally could have been available? But it seems like, Scott, whatever the Steelers do with the quarterback position is reactionary. They seem to watch other teams and see what happens and then react and decide on their quarterback. It's not really being talked about, actually, is it, Scott? What a circus. Well, we want to bring back at least one of them that we had, and we'll figure it out. What does that mean? So you want to bring back the guy that you benched before, which I didn't think you should have benched. So you want to bring the guy back that you benched before, but you also want to bring back the guy that you benched him for, but he wasn't actually very good. But you're going to be happy with either guy after? That's your quarterback plan? I don't have a problem if Tomlin said, hey, you know what? Fields is our guy, and we played him, and I like him, and he's our quarterback, and shut up. They're not doing that. They didn't show confidence in Fields. We all know you can't go back to Wilson next year, and it doesn't seem like they're being overly aggressive right now. It almost seems like they're just waiting to see what happens with everybody else first. It's baffling to me with the Steelers because I think you do need a quarterback, and I think you've had like not a top tier, but an elite quarterback. Your football team would be a lot better. You're not all that far off. As far as the Rams, Scott, they're one of those franchises, aren't they? And McVay and Snead and these guys, you trust what their decision was, one way or the other, right? I thought it was crazy they traded Jared Goff. I'm like, wow, you guys blaming Jared Goff for this, huh? They won the Super Bowl after. A lot of people thought they were crazy. Well, you guys just don't want to pay Stafford. If they let him go, I would have said fine. They know what they're doing. But now that they got this deal done and got him back at least here, made him happy, it makes sense, Scott. Like, who are you going to pay? Like, I mean, if you're the Rams, you look around in the quarterback room here, you really want Jimmy G to be your quarterback? I know McVay's a QB guru, and this guy can win a football game with you or I, Scott, under center, depending on who we played. But with all that being stated, they're such a good football team. And, dude, the Rams have like 23 guys like on their team that are like 25 years or younger. Like, they're a super young football team. Yet they've sort of merged this. Look, we don't want Cooper Kupp. We're going to move on. They know when to cut the strings loose. But I think it was a smart move to bring Stafford back, Scott. And if you're Stafford, you could have went to Vegas. They wanted him in Vegas. Well, you're not winning there. The Rams literally have a shot of winning. I mean, with McVay, you have a shot of winning every year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And so I want to know what you think. I'm hearing all this stuff, like the Raiders are pivoting. I'm hearing, now they're looking into Russ Wilson. And then the Giants, we've even heard and we just are craving it, that Aaron Rodgers would be in play, and we're over here just like, we hope
I'm not buying that
for the sake of the show.
Yeah, of course we are.
For the sake of the show, we're hoping for that.
Yeah, you just move into the other locker room in the same stadium. No one has to change anything. You just kick back and get the popcorn out again, right? After that.
That's what we want.
I think Rodgers would be better with the Giants. He's got Malik Neighbors. You know what I mean? I think Rodgers isn't fully to blame for the Jets' demise over the last couple of years, but I'm not buying it. Listen, man, Dable can't be there forever. Him and Joe Shane are lucky they didn't get fired as it is already, bro. Let's just call it out for what it is, especially Joe Shane after the Saquon Barkley stuff. So I don't think, to me, you go with a young quarterback. It buys you time. If you're the coach, it buys you time. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to bring in Derek Carr to the Giants? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing here?
I don't think Dable has time, Gabe. I think Shane and Dable will be fired if they go with some rookie quarterback. They're going to get fired.
But if they get a star quarterback, though, like, I think they get Shedeur Sanders, Scott. I think Aaron Rodgers ends up Tennessee Titans, potentially, and or the Raiders. I said the Raiders to begin with. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there, Scott. I always thought Daniel Jones was going to end up on the Raiders. Here's just one thing, too. And I know you know them. I know you know Vinny Bonsignor and Adam Hill and all these guys over at the Review Journal in Vegas. They're on the show.
Right.
But there's a lot of buzz right now that the Raiders like Zach Wilson for real. Just throwing it out there. That they think that Zach Wilson, if given a shot, I'm just throwing it out there that his name is definitely.
It's possible.
His name. They won more games with Zach Wilson than they did with Aaron Rodgers.
They sure did. So
I saw him a Buffalo Bill fan. I remember Zach Wilson coming in and beating my Buffalo Bills. I'm going to say, I've liked Zach more than a lot of other people have. I'm not saying I'm going to make him my starter, but I'm also ready to listen and give the kid a chance to compete for a spot. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him play, and what happens, as you know, in the league is that the kid will get drafted, and 2 years later they give up on him, and it should be a 4 or 5 year process, not a 2 year.
Look at Cade Cunningham, Scott, in the NBA. Isn't that a good example? Cade Cunningham. He's not the star that we thought he was going to be. Give him time. Give him some talent to work with. That's Bryce Young. You're going to see Bryce Young's going to be good.
He's getting better.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're talking to Morency. Last night, we saw some craziness, obviously, in the NBA. We saw Curry have 56, and Milwaukee beat Denver, et cetera, New Orleans won in Phoenix. But tonight, we got to watch this Pistons team again, and they got another challenge in Detroit on their hands with Denver calling. Now, Denver lost last night at Fiserv, and they had that game at one point in hand. And obviously they didn't get it done. Do they get 9 in a row, the Pistons, tonight at Little Sleezers?
I'm not getting in front of it, Scott. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I'm going to take the Detroit Rock City Pistons tonight. The number's down to 1 right now, +1. If you look at the streak, and I was just digging into this morning, Scott, they haven't beaten a lot of good teams. And I'm not taking anything away from it. I don't care what league you're in. You win 8 games in a row, and it's impressive. But I'm saying, like, these are sort of statement games for them. You look at the streak, the teams that they've won, what's the most impressive win? The Boston win. And they got Boston off a back-to-back, and it sets up perfectly for them again, Scott, as you just stated, with Denver. The Clippers are a good team, but, they beat Atlanta, San Antonio, Chicago, Charlotte, Philadelphia. And then their last loss was to Cleveland. So, let's see them play against good teams. They just beat Boston the other night on the back-to-back, and now they get Denver. But I don't see a reason why they can't get it done. The enthusiasm and the energy in that arena tonight is going to be lit. The Piston players are rested. You get Denver rolling in here. I like them. And I tell you what, one thing too, guys, all the talk. I like what Tom Brady said, and I don't listen to Tom Brady's podcast like weekly or anything like that, but I saw his clip, or he did an interview yesterday, whatever, and he was talking about other sports. It was pretty cool. And he goes, let me say something about this Four Nations stuff. And he goes, I don't understand why everybody compared the Four Nations to the NBA. He goes, it's the stupidest thing ever. He goes, what does the NBA have to do with the Four Nations and all this? And he goes, all these people started ripping the NBA because the Four Nations was good. And I actually agree with Brady with what he was saying. Brady's really smart, man, when he talks about sports. Like, I'm a fan of his. But where I'm going with this is the NBA's been lit, Scott. I know you're a big basketball junkie, bro, there's every night, man. You got these Luka games, and AD got kicked out last night. You get these big-time matchups. So if people would just stop complaining and pay attention, the NBA is actually kicking some pretty good ass right now. And how can you top Cleveland and Boston on a Friday night tonight?
Who do you like there?
Beat up. Yeah. A Boston team. It's, kind of going through the motions a little bit. Saying, oh, don't worry, we'll dial it up a notch. I'm going to go with Cleveland tonight on the road, Scott. I know you remember last time you and I talked about these games. We said, let's just take the home team, and we were right? We were right both times. We said, all right, this time we'll take Cleveland. This time we'll take Boston.
It was the Thunder games.
Oh, the Thunder. Sorry. Okay. It was the Thunder. You're right. And we were right both times.
Cavs Thunder.
Yeah, Cavs Thunder. I'm not gonna fall into that same sort of trap tonight. I think the Cavs go in there and get it done. I think we have a little, and I think it's perfect timing after Tatum.
It's ballsy.
I think it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect timing after Tatum cried about not being more popular.
So what about
tonight?
So you saw Columbus beat the Red Wings ass last night, and then tomorrow they're going to play at the Shoe at Columbus at the home of Ohio State in an outdoor series game in the NHL. Columbus, I got that game wrong. I mean, they played great in their building. Away, they haven't been good at all. But that game last night was in Detroit, and they beat them. And now they're playing them outdoors in Columbus. Do you think the same thing will happen?
Yeah, you know what? I got a line for the game, too. The Red Wings are they were small favorites coming off the loss. Let's see, updated right now. Well, Scott, so right now it's a pick 'em, -110 on both sides. I'll tell you, Scott, I'll put my hand up, bro. I've been 1,000,000% wrong about the Columbus Blue Jackets. And in fact, I'm going to lose a season bet. I said, there's no way in hell these guys get to 67.5 points. I think they're already there. They're about to beat me. Like this team, the Goudreau stuff really inspired them, man. And they got some really good young hockey players on that team. I'm going to say the Jackets get it done, bro. I hate to do it as a Michigan fan. We got a little Michigan-Ohio State action going on here at the Shoe. I think the Jackets, the way they're playing, it's like the Pistons. I'm not going to get in front of them, in front of 80, 90,000 people, Scott, how to pick them. Give me the Blue Jackets, baby.
All right, so that should be awesome. One other thing, real fast. The Oilers are having a horrible trip, and they lost again last night in Sunrise.
They are, and Connor McDavid scored the goal for Team Canada, dude. The guy, he's admitting he's struggling. He goes, I don't know what's wrong. I just can't get out of this.
They're having a disastrous trip. Have a good weekend, gang.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
So Knapp, a 2-stroke lead. Berger and Pavon are 2 back, 3 back. Henley, Don Henley, and Ricky Fowler. So things are evolving down at PGA National in Jupiter, Florida. But we're going to jump to the NBA here on C2C on a Pain-Free Friday.
We certainly are. Let's go through a few things from last night before we get to a very big card tonight. There's a lot going on. Lakers beat the T-Wolves 111-102. Another good night. Lakers continue to stay hot. LeBron, Luka, Reeves, everybody in the mix. I loved, I'm sure you saw this in the fourth, this deep shot from Luka, Spectrum Sportsnet LA.
To him, LeBron crosses over. LeBron's in deep. LeBron needs help. He finds Luka to beat the clock. Got it! Got it!
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I don't deny that was a great deep three that he knocked down, but he is not shooting well from beyond the arc. In fact, last night was a disaster. He hit one shot from three. That was the shot that he hit. He missed every single other shot that he took from three. So he's definitely slumping from outside, but he's been significant for him in every other area. The way he's playing, you know, inside the arc, the way he's distributing and finding his teammates and passing and rebounding, they're just so much better with him. It's hilarious. All of this talk about how fat he is and he smokes hookahs and drinks and all this other stuff. What a bunch of nonsense. They'll come up with anything in Dallas to talk away the fact that this moron traded him. I don't care what you say. I don't deny Anthony Davis is going to help Dallas, allegedly in the short term with, when he gets healthy and they have all their bigs, they're going to be very tough. There's no denying that. But he's just injured so often. He really is. And Luka isn't. They talk about how fat he is. He was out with the calf, no doubt. But for the most part, he plays way more than Anthony Davis does. Anthony Davis was injured on the Lakers every other week. We call him peanut brittle for a reason. Luka Doncic went to the finals, played every game in the playoffs. And Davis is always injured. So I think Nico Harrison has egg on his face no matter what. And they'll say anything. They'll come up with anything. Now it's turned into they went for Anthony Edwards first before Davis. Like now, what is next? They tried to trade for Jesus Christ? Like every day it's a new reason why they got rid of Luka Doncic. And I think they look like fools.
You were right. 1 for 9 from 3, 6 for 20 from the floor for Luka last night. So he's definitely needs to get a little more dialed in.
6 for 20 is trash.
Yeah, that's 1 for 9 from 3. He wasn't scared, kept putting them up. But that was the only one that he hit, that one that you heard there. LeBron, again, 33 points, 17 boards last night. He's the first player in NBA history with 5 consecutive 25-plus point games at 40 or more years old. But the discussion today is this clip after the game. Of course, you remember Anthony Edwards during the All-Star break saying that he wants no part of being the face of the NBA. Anthony Edwards was like, I'm good. I don't need it. So that was asked to LeBron last night after the game since he was playing in.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but, I don't know. Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? I mean, have that responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy from the people that
Yeah, blame the media, dude.
He said it perfectly. Couldn't say it no better. But and said he don't want it. Obviously I didn't ask for it. But I know there's a responsibility for me not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world.
Listen, listening to this guy complain about the way the NBA is treated is laughable. He has been the face of the NBA since Akron in high school, and we've watched all of this, the decision and all the other nonsense, and all these teams he's played for. And to hear him act like the NBA is abused by those that cover it, like, just admit it. Like, you know, what's funny? They have their own players in the league saying that the league sucks. They have Draymond Green saying the league's boring. Isn't he a guy that's won a ton of rings and is one of the voices of the NBA? But then this guy says, why would you want to be the face of the NBA when all they do is bash us? Well, they bash you because it's so boring and because the regular season is such a waste of time. I mean, that's just all there is to it. But nobody bashes his game. You don't see those people that cover the NBA saying a bad word about his game at 40. He gets knobbed like no other. And to hear him talk about how they're treated poorly, oh, my God. I go back to Giannis. Giannis said, you know, we lead the life of Riley. We got, you know, fancy jets, fancy hotels, 5-star hotels, 5-star food, 5-star buses. We live large. We make tons of money. What's there to complain about? Everything is top shelf status. Why are these guys complaining about everything? I mean, you got guys that admit that they live large and they make way too much money. And then you got guys that cry like LeBron. You heard him. I don't know. Don't blame me. Don't blame me that I just watched that guy come right out of his mouth that the league, they treat us so poorly. The media, those that cover us, treat us so poorly. Shut the F up. I mean, honestly, they knob you like no other. You're King Tutankhamun. I mean, Mike, you can't even argue with it. Like, this is laughable.
No. Look, and the part that gets me is him saying, I didn't ask for it. I mean, look.
Oh, please.
We all remember, I mean, a
please.
Lot of 21 years ago when he came in the league, like, now, did he ask for ESPN to come put his high school games on? And that when he was, you know, I don't know, but like that guy
I'm sure he loved it.
Huge $90 million Nike contracts before he played. Like, I mean, come on. He's wearing 23. Like, relax with I didn't ask for it. That's because you wanted to be in the spotlight. And to be fair, he's played well enough. He's played well enough to do that. He's been a legend. So, you know, don't sit there and say
Whoever says a bad word about him.
Yeah, well, some people, I think some people don't like him.
No, all you ever hear about him is the comparisons to Michael Jordan he doesn't like because he's not as good as Michael Jordan. That's just all there is to it. You have one guy that chased rings and had to be on the right team to get his rings, and you had another guy that paid the ultimate price of losing every year until he finally figured it out, and then he never lost in a final the rest of his career. One guy, remember how the Pistons used to belt to ass the Bulls? And then he finally figured it out and won every championship he played in. That's how you do it. These other guys, let's just face facts. LeBron James and Kevin Durant had to find their way to a ring by moving around so they could be in the ideal situation to win. They couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done in Oak City. And LeBron had to move around to get his rings. Let's just face facts. He had to be with the right players. He's no different than that phony-ass, pathetic-ass Jimmy Lymphoma. He's another one. You know what he is? He's a world traveler. And he's a team wrecker and a cancer. And he'll do the same thing to the Warriors when this 2-year deal's up, when he wants even more money. He's not fooling me. He's a phony. What a backstabber he is. Everyone, I guarantee you, everyone on that team in Miami hates his effing guts.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Great ticket cash last night with the Dubs winning that game at the Kia in Orlando. And they've been hot, I won't deny, since they got Butler. Fair enough. He didn't do anything. He was pathetic. What, do you have 5 points? But Curry had the 56 burger. He was going off.
56 points for Steph Curry. He hit 12 threes. Your boy was on fire on NBC Sports Bay Area.
Magic had led by 17. The Warriors are led by 13. Another clutch game for the Dubs. Curry, three. Good! 11 threes! 49 for the game. Quentin Post back out to Bajemski, slicing through the lane, lost the handle. Curry to beat the buzzer for three. Good! Steph's got 12 threes!
That's crazy. I mean, it is just insanity when this guy goes off like that. Like my guy Bob Fitzgerald with the call there. And it was incredible. 12 threes. What can you say? He is amazing.
He's going to be 37 in a couple weeks. Mid-March, he's going to turn 37 years old. He's been doing it for a long time. Steve Kerr's had a front row seat for a lot of it.
Raymond just said it was his 26th game with 10 or more threes. So we're spoiled around here. We're used to it, but it never gets old watching. I can tell you that. I think the fans here tonight, even the Magic fans, they know they're witnessing greatest shooter ever and one of the greatest performers ever. It's not just the shots going in, it's just the fluidity, the beauty of his movement and motion and his audacity, the shots that he's willing to take. He's an incredible performer, and he put on quite a show tonight.
I think he's spectacular, and the thing that makes him unique for me is he's mastered that two spot with movement. Like I think his movement away from the ball and getting open and coming off screens and the way they run plays to get him open and the way he gets around the court, like he really does manipulate the court like no other. I mean, he'll dive, he'll go in circles, he'll cycle, he'll go around the corners to the top, dive back down, go underneath. He just always is in constant motion and eventually gets the pill and fires, and he's so deadly shooting the rock. I think for me, the key is his movement. And even though I'm old and washed, I try to move without the ball, like just constantly moving. I tell my daughter all the time who plays, you got to move around to get open. You got to make yourself open. You got to get to the ball. You got to dive down. You got to make it happen yourself because no one's setting screens for you, particularly at the girls' high school level. It's, the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life. They don't set screens. So imagine at the pro level, the screens he's getting and the backdoor screens he's getting and the weak side screens he's getting and what he does to manipulate the space on the court and the way he moves without the ball. He is the greatest shooter because he moves so well and gets open and fires and knocks it down. A lot of these guys in this league, all you have to do is watch it. They stand there and pick their nose. They don't move at all. They're like statues. They just stand there. And this guy's always in constant motion and flowing around the court. I've never seen anyone take advantage of space like this guy. I mean, you just have to admit it. Like, there's no getting around his brilliance.
There really isn't. One more for you from this game. Sometimes when you ask questions that are silly, you deserve blunt, honest answers. Jamal Mosley, the head coach of the Orlando Magic. Here we go.
Aside from Steph, because we know he can do those types of things on certain nights, but aside from Steph, what do you think was the difference?
The man had 56 points. There is no aside from Steph. He had 56.
Gee.
I mean, honestly.
I'm glad the kid got his question in because that's when you're young. You want to be in the room and get a question in. I remember being that kid once. I just have to ask a question, and then it sucks really bad when it's a really, crappy one, like that one. Like, you're the guy that asked him, aside from Steph, what do you think went wrong? I mean, that was the worst question I've heard in a while.
The man had 56 points. What do you want me to do? What do you want to do? The man had
and that guy got
points.
In his car after the game. And he's like, I can't believe I asked that question.
Tough scene.
He's having a bad day.
Nuggets last night, 121-112. Good win for the Bucks. The Mavs beat the Hornets but didn't cover. So the Mavs become a team. The Hornets have been getting blasted by everybody. LaMelo Ball didn't even play, and they still couldn't cover the number against Charlotte. The Pelicans beat the Suns 124-116. It is crumbling in Phoenix. The stories are coming out. Durant last night didn't really want to talk about it. He said, I don't want to say anything bad. Booker was all frowns in the post-game press conference. And this story comes out today that Budenholzer allegedly told Devin Booker to tone it down for being too vocal on the court and during the timeout huddles because he wasn't letting the coaches speak. They are going to have to clean that place out for the third year in a row. Remember, they cleaned out Monty. 1 year, Vogel cleaned him out. They're going to clean Budenholzer out after 1 year also.
Now, listen, here's the thing, just so Mike can, zone in on what the problem is here. Devin Booker's not going anywhere, and he probably is. But in the interim, now that he's lost Booker, because I can guarantee you, Devin Booker, A, doesn't like Mike Budenholzer now, and B, never did and never will listen to him ever again. Can you imagine him telling his superstar player, who they pay an absolute mountain of money to tone it down? And that's the end of that relationship right there. Like, listen, bro. Listen, Whitey. Listen, Cracker. I ain't listening to you ever. I'm Devin Booker. I make the most money here. I run this team. He literally is that guy. So he's lost him. Budenholzer's dead in the water.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. You're just not beating the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
A little spew news here as the Fresno State investigation has widened. The players, Mikal Robinson and Jalen Weaver, even it goes on and on, Zayon Collins. First of all, like they admitted that they all bet on fantasy sites, that they were betting on fantasy sports contests involving Fresno State games in which they played. The wagers and entries included the under on Robinson's points and rebounds, according to sources. Now, the kid Weaver said that he played his points total in the Bulldogs' home game against New Mexico on New Year's Eve. He said he risked 50, that he'd score more than 11. He had 13. He said, I made a bad decision. I shouldn't even have gotten involved. Now I'm obviously paying for it. I bet on a game I played in. I should never have done it. I never tried to sabotage the season. I never bet on us to lose, and I never bet on my unders.
Well,
what a problem. If you think this is like the end of this, and I'm not talking Fresno State, I'm talking this is going to happen left and right in every sport, every single sport, left and right across the board. Ever since they passed this law that people can bet, and then, every state now there's gambling, and there's going to be nefarious actions taken by people without a doubt, players, kids, it doesn't matter. It's automatic. It's every day now. It's inevitable. It happens every week.
It happens all the time, and I think the first thing that you're going to see, and I think that this is the first thing that they're going to do to try to combat this as much as they possibly can, is because they're not going to take sports gambling away. Like that's not happening. But I think what they're going to do is, I think you're going to see them take college player props, basketball, football. I think anything involving the college players themselves, their own individual numbers. I think the day will come when they will strike that everywhere. They will get rid of college player prop betting. That will be the thing that gets taken away from all of this. Somebody in Washington is going to pass some law that spreads to every state. You can't you can't bet on college players on their individual props.
Well, they already do it, right? They already do it here.
Yeah.
You can't bet on,
Right.
in state.
Yeah.
You can't bet on teams. I think you're right.
Yeah.
The way to combat it is to stop the player prop betting in college sports, and it is a out of control problem now. And frankly, it's in the pros too. It's a real problem at every level, including professional sports.
No doubt about it. Now, look, I don't know if it'll completely stop the problem, but I think that's what they are going to at least legally take off the table, is that the ability in all the states to do
they're
it.
They're gonna still bet. You'll be able to bet on the game. And
the game,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
But that still, to me, will, be obviously a problem as well, because if a kid is willing to bet on himself in over-unders on prop bets, then a kid is willing to point shave or throw a game, and we've already seen it. We saw it in baseball in the NCAA when the manager was like, we've already seen people throwing games. So I don't believe that, frankly, I just got to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't believe that banning prop betting will solve the problem. I think it'll lead to an exasperated use of throwing games. I think that players will still be involved in point shaving and being involved in, I'm not going to perform tonight, so this team loses, and I get paid a bunch of money under the table by mobsters or whoever. The dark side of betting will rear its ugly head everywhere again, like on a daily basis, like the sun comes up.
Certainly will. We'll come back and we'll get into all of tonight's NBA games. There's a very big slate tonight. Things are getting spicy at the Cognizant as the leader, Jake Knapp, just put one in the water off the tee box to start. I know he's playing the front side. He started on the 10th tee, but he put his tee shot in the water, so he's going to be in trouble on this hole that he's on now. So might be coming back to the pack.
It's on 15. He's in trouble.
Yeah, but he's on the front side, so I guess he's over on 6 or 7, wherever he is over there.
Oh, I see. You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four, because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I talked about AZ Fudd a lot, folks, and said when she got back from that knee injury, remember, it's the second ACL tear she's had in her career, that she was going to be a difference maker. UConn is plus 330. They're not going to get challenged again in the Big East until they come out of conference play in a conference tournament. I still like them at plus 330 to win a national championship.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I feel when I look at this Arizona team, I don't take them serious as a national title threat, because you're asking Caleb Love to bottle magic that I just don't even think exists.
4.4, 6.6, 7.4, 7.7, 7.8. This guy is literally taking, he'll shoot you out of games, Kevin.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.